there. So I just wanted to give you a pie chart. Goodbye, pie chart. Go. Go away. There's this thing in the European Union which is guaranteed to put people to sleep. It's called the Common Agricultural Policy. You know, Europe doesn't agree on a lot of things, but there's one thing they agreed on very quickly. It's farm subsidies and farm policy, and it's usually the one thing that pisses off people first. Well, first. And I very much like the European Union. I'm not knocking the fact that it exists or anything like that. But there's this thing called the Common Agricultural Policy, the CAP, and when it was founded back in the 1950s, 60s, the idea was large-scale farming. Make it big, make it fast, make a lot of it. There's a new Common Agricultural Policy coming, and if you read the text, you're a scholar, and you're incredibly focused if you do that. But what you'll find is that the focus is on small-scale farming, it's on organics, and so in theory, there will be a big focus in the European Union towards raising our own organic, in fact, soy, or not genetically modified, and focusing less on large-scale crops. Whether or not it really happens, we will see in our lifetime. So I thought I would mention that. You'll see these signs all over if you travel, especially in Portugal, some parts of Spain. The genetically modified tags. I spend a lot of time looking at them, taking photos of them. It makes me hungry. Does not make me hungry, I lied. I thought this was interesting, and since this is my collection of crap, I brought a map of the Netherlands. That's that country over there. And this is the 7 locations for genetically modified crops experiments. Yes, because although in Europe we frown upon genetically modified crops in general, we do allow tests. And man, do we allow a lot of them. Not every country, I know. Hold on. So the Netherlands has 7 locations, and I just wanted to give you an idea of the type of experiments they're doing. There's apples, potatoes, and corn. Those are the big ones. No soy. No soy. That has to be in hot temperatures. But the experiments are here. There are at least 3 countries that outright ban genetically modified tests. That will be Austria, help me out, France, and Luxembourg. There are countries that are more prone to genetically modified tests, and that's the UK, the Netherlands. Who's my third on that list? Well, I'm missing a third. Oh well. So there is this other force in the world. This is not like a Star Wars story, but there's this thing called organic soy. Some of you may consume organic soy. I do, quite often actually, because you can actually find it in very expensive, overpriced organic grocery stores. And I was just looking at some statistics from 2006 because I'm old school. UK sales of organic groceries, of course, have increased. That was 54% back then, but it's increased again in 2007, and it continues to go up, as you can tell, because when you go to the grocery store, all you ever see is more and more organics. Turns out Italy, Spain, and Germany contain the largest organic farming areas, but you already knew that because you probably have a relative who's growing organic pretzels or something. I know, pretzels don't grow. I know. European average of between 2 and 6% of the food market in general is organic. That was last year, so it's going up all the time. And this could be a counterbalance to genetically modified soy in the world. But of course, you have to actually want to buy organic. You have to be able to afford to buy organic, which is not always easy. And wouldn't you know it, things that come from genetically modified soy are often very low priced. So that's one of the big challenges. Wrapping it up, believe it or not. The question becomes then, what is the future of soy? You know, you have an increased share of farming that belongs to soy. In Brazil, I think they're getting closer and closer to about 10% of farming in general. That's GMO, and soy is on the rise, and they've got the Amazon that they continue to take from, and they've got European consumers that continue to buy it, often without knowing. You have more power in lobbying. You know, Monsanto's doing incredibly well since they own all your food. And with that money, they can influence policy in Brussels. I mean, there's a talk going on right now in room 2, which I'm secretly listening to somehow. And it's about lobbying Brussels, as far as I know, but that's for telecom. But there becomes a question of, like, who is lobbying against these large corporations, these agribusinesses, who are influencing European Union policy and then comes down on all member states, or tries to come down on all member states. And there's a general relaxation of policy. You know, these tests that I showed you in the Netherlands, 10, 20 years ago, no one would have accepted that, or at least it seemed like nobody would. And now it's sort of tolerated. Cargill and Archer Daniels Midland, I believe, they actually sued the European Commission for not approving their genetically modified potatoes, in fact. So they're actually suing the government for not saying okay to dealing their shit. It's a weird world, we knew that, but it continues to get weirder. And this does find its way into almost everyone's diet. I was eating a chocolate bar, silly me, it was from America, and it had hydrogenated soybean, partially hydrogenated soybean. And it comes from America, so my soybean was most definitely genetically modified, and I still don't feel good, which explains why my presentation is not making you jump out of your chair. So that is more or less the odd end. You know, what will happen is anybody's guess. Myself, I intend to continue to follow this issue. I hope to go to Brazil and Paraguay. I have not been there, if you're wondering. But the hardest part is that there are so many farmers in this world, and they're not wealthy people, and they can be convinced to try these things because they're promised great things. They're promised what we call pie in the sky. And how to combat that from here is sometimes it's beyond me. But don't fret. Everything will be okay. Buy organic soy. Watch out for your genetically modified stuff. And stay alert. Thank you. And I'm pretty sure that I saved enough time for questions. So be kind. There was a hand there. Oh, hi.
I have a question concerning that Monsanto list, because it's a very long list, it's very impressive, but what is the market share behind that list, also depending on whether that's soy, whether that's another kind of crop? Can you give a bit more detail on that?
One more time. You're asking how many on those lists were soy?
No, I'm asking you, what's the market share that's accumulated in that list? Because if it's a very heterogeneous industry, this long list could be, 2% of the market.
Right. It's going to take forever for them to own all the possible seeds in the world, but they have forever. I mean, they're a powerful and ever-growing corporation. So the list of seeds we just saw, I think at one point I said they almost control half the world's food. That's just me being facetious. I don't think that they control half the world's food, but they will do what they can to buy it up, and they've been doing a hell of a job. At this rate, I mean, in 10 years, that list, I mean, it'll keep growing. So a lot of those seeds on that list are not large, or, well, extremely large, largely used, huge market share seeds. But every now and then they hit the jackpot, like when they bought the I believe it's Indian cotton, I forget the specific name, it has a very technical name, and that one was the most widely planted cottonseed in I think the nation of India, in fact. So I don't know what the market share is, but that they occasionally hit a big one, they do. And that they're getting more and more powerful so that they could find more seeds to purchase the copyright to, they will. I mean, unless some kind of international agreement is made to stop them, but I don't see that happening. I answered your question with another answer, didn't I? So clever.
Hi, Mark, over here.
Hey, Alex.
Now, I'm not a genetic engineer or anything, but I keep hearing about these genetic sequencers available on eBay and everything. And it seems to me that if you can engineer something to be resistant to Roundup, you can engineer something that eats stuff that is resistant to Roundup. What would you think of such a project?
Yeah, I've heard, and you guys know more, maybe it was you that mentioned to me, I don't know, that someone is working on their own, it's an American, I think, and I think she was here, her own genetically modified seeds at home to do the opposite of what a lot of these would do. Myself, I don't mind, I mean, what does it matter what I think really, but I don't mind if people experiment. I'm here, obviously, because I like experimentation. I think what I mind more is when you force it upon people who don't know what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking about the farmers who are, I mean, they make a commercial of some sort, not that kind of commercial, but like a billboard or something in Paraguay, and you're convinced that this is what you should do, and you risk, your family farm. So I think it's cool, myself, that people could conduct the kind of experiments that you're talking about, but I think that these companies have the money to do it on a large scale. I think the kind of stuff some of us could do, that would be funny, the sort of biohacking Congress. I think we don't have the scale that they do, but it would be a cool way to do civil disobedience against it. I don't know, do you know somebody, do you know the person? No, okay. But I think it would be interesting, yeah. I mean, I think it's a good way to fight back, too. Although, careful.
Hi. There's one thing about soy which you didn't mention very clearly. As far as I know, most of the soy actually isn't used for making products, good products like tofu and soy milk, but instead it's used to make animal food, high protein animal food for animals, which afterwards end on our pizza and burgers and sandwiches and everywhere where the average civilized person eats a lot of meat. And most of the soy goes there, to the animals that we eat at the end. And that's a problem, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I saved that towards the end. Somebody remembers. When the fact that in European Union, most of the soy that we import, majority of it, so something around 80%, it just goes to animal feed. And that's okay. That's considered legal under the European Union regulations. So, yeah. Is that a line, or what is that? Is that the people here to beat me up? You work for Monsanto?
It's a line. Thank you for the beautiful talk.
Really? Oh, thank you.
Yes,
oh, thank you.
I liked it very much. Just one addition. You had that numbers from the Netherlands where our things are out in the field, and just one addition. This is happening here in Germany too, especially in the east. It's mostly potatoes, what we do here, and it's possible to hack that because there are certain regulations, and what most people don't know is that the companies putting out genetic modified organisms in the field don't care for that regulations. The regulations are quite strong in Germany, but they just don't care for. And if you go out and we take care for it, for example, they have certain regulations that there has to be 50 meters to next field and all these stuff, they don't do. At some places they have to make fences, they don't do. So as I know, Greenpeace has lots of material and information where these things are. It's easy to find out where they are, and it's easy to go there, take photos and show that they don't keep the rules, so then they have to shut down these fields.
Actually, you just...
Thank you.
You just reminded me of something. It's a simple method of searching for information. I'm such a researcher. I was Googling for maps of where organic experiments, or what do we call them? Yeah, experiments basically, are taking place, because I found that Dutch one from the Dutch government, in fact, which is pretty cool. For all the bad things I can say about the Dutch government, they put up a map with where it's going on and what kind of crop. I couldn't find, and I think specifically Google, well, not that Google knows everything, maps of like Germany. And so if somebody would do that, if you could map it, you get a cookie, an organic cookie.
Try Bundesumweltamt, for example. There's not in Google, but they have to, because it's a law in Germany to monitor this.
Yeah.
So
mapping these things would be extremely helpful.
They don't do a map, they have just a list, and you have to find out where it is.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
I have a question about the farmers, the act of civil disobedience, as you called it. Do you repay the farmers for that, or
they didn't? You say you? I didn't do it. I swear.
Sorry.
No, but I think it would be cool. I would have gone. I'm a fanboy like that. They did not repay. Actually, those guys in Portugal are still facing trial in Portugal, which takes forever. Repaid? Oh. Here, let me do my answer. I don't know what ended up happening. I know that they're facing trial. Like I said, one problem was the guy who did it, who wants to remain anonymous, would barely talk to me. I know somebody who knows him, and she tried to put us in touch with each other, or one of the main people, and nobody will talk to me. I don't blame them. Obviously, you have to remain anonymous, like a lot of my friends out there on the internet watching this from home in a secret location in Germany. You might want to ask him when it comes down to it. Yeah, sorry.
Hi. Thanks for the presentation. Very nice. My question